trick part, when I ended up in a wheelchair a little over a year ago, I actually faced that myself.
Yeah.
It's like I ended up in a wheelchair. We're all working virtually. Nobody knows I'm in a wheelchair. They know that I was off sick. They knew I came back. Everyone checked in, say, how are you doing? And at some point, you have to ask yourself, do you believe that you are the best person for your role? And do you 100% believe that you have value? And I really think that in most cases, it comes down to whether or not it's the right fit, whether or not you actually do honestly have the skill set to be able to perform in that role. And so for me, I found it was easy to say to my boss, oh yeah, by the way, I was in the hospital, I was diagnosed with this is what the outcome is, this is my limitations. And the conversation, instead of it being what I was afraid of, which was, oh, can you still do your job? How are you going to be able to perform? Can you still travel? How often are you have to be in the hospital? It was, okay, fantastic. Yeah, we know you'll get everything done. And I think that is where success will really come from the employee or the person looking to be hired. It is understanding that you actually want the job and you can do it. And if you have apprehension about that, you probably should look at a different role. It's really that simple. From the employer point of view,
I just want to keep going back to the employee side, because you talked about, that people who are in the situations that you're dealing with, or the people that you work with in your organization, that, in reality, they earn 30% less, they're faced with greater financial challenges. I can only assume there's this innate fear of disclosure because of how it's being viewed. But at the same time, if you don't, then you're not being fully open and honest. And again, if that is something that's viewed as a challenge within the employer, not a challenge from a physical standpoint, but a challenge from a fit standpoint, or that's something that's going to be a deterrent, it just poses a whole new challenge that obviously able-bodied people aren't faced with, or even it's not even in their mindset, right? So I mean, again, I just maybe go back to that question of if there was somebody applying to jobs, knowing that those factors are there, do you think at some point it's best to still be open about it, because it's going to ensure that you guys are off and that both people are fully aware of here's what I'm faced with as an employer. How do you deal with that stuff? And if they're we're not set up for it, we're open to it, but maybe, do you want to be the pioneer that goes in there and has to deal with all the challenges that are faced with trying to get them to accommodate? Or is it better to find an employer like yours, where they're ready for it and they've already done it, and it's just, it's a nothing for us. Yeah, we're good. What do you need from us?
And I can only speak on behalf of sort of myself and how I've sort of been able to navigate it, how I've been able to, help some other people navigate it. And there's a lot of pieces to that, and it is really difficult because, when is it safe? When is it not safe? I look at it from, there are so many people in this world today, unfortunately, that have to battle prejudices based upon their gender, their ethnicity, their size, their sexual orientation, all of these things that in a lot of cases, they can't hide them. And I think that when we take it as a person with a physical disability and we look at it from that singular lens, I think we can become lost and almost become beat down and fatigued through it. Whereas if we look at what we as human beings face in the job market, and we're willing to have open conversations and we're willing to come to the table with solutions, would it be easier to always interview at companies that that have already hired, say, people in a wheelchair or people with learning disabilities or people who suffer from emotional mental health? 100% it would be easier. But if there is a company that you truly want to work for, and they may not have those things already in place, why not come to them with solutions? And why not believe that the world actively is trying to change, is actively trying to be more equitable, be more inclusive, and really see people as people first, not what they're perceived to be. We can make those changes happen.
Yeah.